Hello everyone, I'm Ishani and welcome. Did you know that 20th May is World Bee Day? And to spread awareness, we have a blog hop hosted by dear friend and a great artist Milka Gubo from Croatia. And today me and my son are joining in to spread some awareness and make some cute bee cards. More about the bee or not to be hop is on my blog, which is linked in the description box below. We both have created cards with bees in focus. My 5-year-old did finger painting, and I have an acetate card to make my bees float in the garden that I have created. I start with taking Nina Sola white paper, and I'm going to use these cute bees by Pretty Pink Posh, who are also our kind sponsor for the To Be or Not To Be blog hop. I'm going to use flowers from this MFT set for the garden that I will create. Because I like and I also recommend using floral dies for such a floral garden scene, as it saves the amount of time for fussy cutting the tiny flowers. So even though this stamp has flowers, I don't have matching dies. Hence I'll be using the dies that I showed you earlier. And I go ahead and stamp my bees with alcohol marker friendly ink. I'm stamping the bigger bees as I want them to be the focus of the card. And I stamp 4 of them. For the flowers, first I die cut all the flowers from a cardstock, creating windows for all the flowers. Then I die cut the amount of flowers I need from the other piece of cardstock. And now we will stamp flowers on them. I'm using my stamping platform and I first place my stamp in the die cut window like so and then close it. This way I have all my stamps positioned perfectly, and now I slide my die cuts and stamp all my flowers. And I fussy cut my bees. Now that all elements are ready, it's time for coloring. I'm coloring with Copics and I will speed up the process. I have the colors mentioned on the screen if you need to see those. Many of you know that honeybees communicate with one another by dancing. But do you know, when a bee finds a good source of nectar, it flies back to the hive and shows its friends where the nectar source is by doing a dance, which positions the flower in relation to the sun and the hive. This is known as the woggle dance. A honeybee visits 50 to 100 flowers during a collection trip, and honeybees must gather nectar from 2 million flowers to make 1 pound of honey. Imagine how important they are for the pollination. I have few links down below in the description box for you to go through and read about these little helpers that keep this earth beautiful. I'm sure you'll love to read about them. And then I color the rest of the flowers. For the design of the card, I take A4 size cardstock and lengthwise I cut it in half. I score it in the middle and make it an A2 size top folding note card. I'm taking 2 different dies, a cloud die and a grass die, and I'm going to cut the front panel of the A2 size card with cloud die and a green cardstock with grass die. And you need an acetate sheet. I'm taking this OHP sheet, but you can take any packaging material that you may have. For the acetate sheet, you need to cut it of the size of the front panel, a little lesser than that, and I'm going to cut them and get them to you first. So here you see I have cut clouds from the front panel of the A2 sized card base, and I have another small cloud die cut from the same white paper. I also have 2 grass cut pieces from the green paper and also a piece of acetate sheet. For assembling the card, we will be sandwiching the acetate sheet between these 2 layers of clouds and grass. Let's go ahead and stick them with the tacky tape. I'm taking a strong tape, which is the red tacky tape here, and I'm adhering my acetate sheet to the front panel just behind the clouds. And I check where will I have my other layer of clouds, and I stick them with glue so that there is some time to move it around. I cut the excess off and then I check how will I position my flowers and the bees. And then I realize I can have little cloud just behind my acetate. So I take Salty Ocean Distress Oxide ink and with blender brush, I blend some ink for a lovely blue sky. With the sky blended, I play around in my garden to see how I would like to arrange my flowers, and then I take the first layer of grass and glue it inside of my card. I stick some of the flowers on the inside panel and tuck them behind the die-cut grass. On the acetate with a strong double-sided tape, I arrange my second layer of grass so that it is just below the grass that we have stuck inside. And then with paper trimmer, I just cut off the excess. Just to give some body to the front panel, I take a strip of green cardstock and for extra support, I adhere it behind the die-cut grass. This way there is good support to the acetate sheet. I carry on planting my garden, and on the acetate sheet I am using Tombow Extreme Tape Runner for sticking my flowers. For the sentiment, I take a stamp by Pretty Pink Posh again and stamp it with Versamark ink at the bottom right corner of my grass, and heat emboss it with white embossing powder. When you're working with acetate, I advise you to emboss the sentiment before you adhere the grass on the acetate sheet. Because my acetate sheet was not heat resistant, it did warp a little. I stick my first bee near the cloud with some glue behind its antlers and one in the inside. And I use the third bee on top of the panel and adhere with Tombow Tape Runner. And here's my bee card with acetate sheet, which is a perfect way to show that these bees are flying around, collecting nectar and helping bloom more flowers. I hope you liked the way I created the scene and would try yourself something similar. If you do not forget to let me know in the comments down below. And now let's see what did my 5-year-old create for this special occasion. We start with taking an A2 size watercolor paper. We are using this brand which was already in my stash, but because we are doing light watercoloring, specialty paper is not required. There are various kinds of watercolors, but for this project, we'll be using the colors that come in these little bottles. For creating his garden, first he is drawing stems of flowers with a green pen, which are of random height, all along the bottom of the paper. And now comes the fun part. We've taken pink, yellow and orange colors on a palette, and with his index finger, he makes an impression of the flowers on top of the stems. I help him do the first few and then he does the rest. We clean his finger between the two colors and then he prints with the pink color. Now that our flowers were done, it's time to make some bees, for which we are dipping his thumb in the yellow color and printing 4 bees around the floral garden. I apologize for all the time his head has come in front of the camera. As the paint is drying, he takes the green sketch pen again and makes the leaves for the flowers. For the sentiment for this card, I will let him write in his own handwriting. He knows how to write few letters, and I draw lines with scale and give him a pen to write the sentiment. Even though I'm dictating the alphabets, he does what I was afraid of. He writes a Q for P, and then we have a little laugh about it. And then go ahead and finish off with another P and Happy Mother's Day, which he wrote as Happy Mom's Day. I draw with pencil faint wings for the bees and ask him to trace over them. And for the eyes of the bees, we put little dots, but his dots become a little big. And then I take over from him and finish off the eyes and the rest of the stripes for the bees. And the front panel is almost done, and he's so proud of the little artwork. We take a side folding black color note card and stick the front panel with Fevi-Stick. And here's how he felt after he made it, in his own words.
This is such a nice card.
Ah, nice.
I love it.
We hope you enjoyed the process of making these bee cards. The one my son made was for his grandmother for Mother's Day. During this process of selecting what to make for To Be or Not To Be Hop, I read out interesting facts for my son, and those are the few that I shared with you while I was coloring my bees. Do let us know in the comments below which card was your favorite and if you tried them. Don't forget to check my blog post in the description box for details on the blog hop and for some pictures from our garden. I will quote what Einstein said about the bees. If the bee disappeared off the face of the earth, man would only have 4 years left to live. On this note, thank you very much for stopping by. If you're new here, I would love if you'd subscribe to my channel. Be safe and keep bees safe. Thank you. Bye-bye. Happy crafting.